Good morning, everyone. I warmly welcome all of you to the University of South Australia's FB Live session on STEM programs available for Sri Lanka and Maldivian students. In this session, we will talk about the programs offered by UniSA in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. When talking about University of South Australia, it is ranked in the top 5 in Australia for engineering, and ranked among top 5 universities in Australia for graduate skills in IT. Today, we have invited Mr. Jackson, Manager International Business Development, UniSA International, to talk about study options available for international students. Over to you, Jackson.
Delaney, hi everyone. Nice to meet you all. I'm going to share my screen here and we'll just get that slideshow going. Thanks for your time. I've got plenty to get through, so I'll jump straight into it. So first of all, a welcome to the University of South Australia. And in case you don't know where we are located in the state of South Australia, in the city of Adelaide, which is a 1-hour flight to Melbourne and a 2-hour flight to Sydney. I've just got a few shots here to show you Adelaide. It is a beautiful city, about 1.3 million people. Very peaceful, very clean, but it is still buzzing. It's got great shops, really good international shopping. We have Apple, we have Zara, we have H&M store, Uniqlo, all of that is there. We're big food and wine people. We've got amazing restaurants and dining, all different cuisines. And we are obsessed with coffee everywhere in Australia. Adelaide's got some great little cafes too. The other nice thing about Adelaide is that we are known to be a 30-minute city. So you can get everywhere in 30 minutes, including the beautiful beach here down at Glenelg. And we've got basically 30 kilometres of non-stop coastline. So I know you Sri Lankans and Maldivians have got some amazing beaches, so do we. And you can enjoy them while you're living in Adelaide. Of course, you are a cricket-loving nation, Sri Lanka, so we do have the beautiful Adelaide Oval. That's right there. The sporting culture is there. The cricket culture is there, so you can really enjoy that as well. So that's Adelaide. We'll talk about UniSA. Dylan, you mentioned a couple of stats there. I'm going to mention a couple of main ones. We are a young university, and of the young universities in the world, we are in the top 50. So number 29, number 46 for the young universities. We actually have a brand new stat. We are number 1 in Australia for graduate employability. So this is from an employer satisfaction survey, and that's a really exciting new stat in terms of employability. If we look at our university, we've got 4 campuses, 2 in the city, 2 in the suburbs. So those campuses are City West. As I flick through these, there'll probably be a slight delay on your end. We've got City West right in the city. We've got City East also in the city. We've got McGill campus in the leafy suburbs east. And then we also have Mawson Lakes, which is home to all the STEM programs, which is what we're talking about today. And that's where I work and where my office is. So Mawson Lakes, I'll flick through a few shots here. It's a beautiful suburb, very residential area. Very safe and clean and a bit cheaper to live in as well. So you've got everything you need. The train gets you into the city in only 17 minutes and it's about a 10-minute walk from the campus. It's also home to Technology Park, so a tech hub, which is great for those studying these STEM programs. There's more than 100 companies in engineering and technology there. And as far as a student lifestyle, Mawson Lakes has everything you need. So it's got supermarket, it's got ethnic supermarkets, you've got a medical centre, different cafes and restaurants and public transport too. And just a couple of shots to show you the campus itself. So beautiful modern campus, lots of green grass and open spaces, some good cafes, or again, good coffee as well there on the campus. So you can have all of that. Now, accommodation is always something. Everyone needs a roof over their head. So for UniSA, we have a website that can direct you to everything that you need to know about accommodation. It's this one here. And so we have a few different options. If you want to go with our the most standard partner official UniSA tie-up accommodation, you can go with Scape, which is in the centre of the city, costing around $1,200 per month for a room in a shared student apartment. It's opposite the railway station. If you were listening carefully before, you might remember I said the train gets you into Mawson Lakes in 17 minutes. So you could live here, catch the train 17 minutes and then walk to campus. If you want to save some money, though, you can go for private rental, and we do actually have, this is an example here, it's about $660 per month for a room in a shared house. This was an actual example. To find rental accommodation, we do have a rental database as one option, and you can find a room near your campus for a certain budget. If you do want to have the student apartment, but you want to be near Mawson Lakes, we've got a really good relationship with this other private provider called Capital Student Stays. Really excellent, clean apartments, student apartments, and this is literally only 3 minutes walk away from the campus. So just a couple of options for you, but it really is completely up to you, and our accommodation department can help. Just to open your eyes to a couple of other things too, this is a typical timetable in Australia, and as you can see, it looks a bit different from probably what you'd be used to in Sri Lanka or the Maldives. So normally in a given semester, you'll have 4 subjects or 4 courses, and each one of those courses has 2 to 3 classes. So you probably have around like 12 to 15 actual class contact hours per week, and you have some choice of where you put those classes. So you can have, say, a 3-day weekend for this example, or you could have a nice Monday morning sleep in. So it does mean you've got time for part-time work and self-study and all these other things too. We have 2 semesters at UniSA. One is in February, one is in July, which is all pretty standard for the Australian calendar. All right, scholarships, everyone wants to know, of course. So we have very simple scholarship scheme at UniSA. We've got the International Merit Scholarship, which is, as it says here, 15% off the whole degree, automatically assessed, no need to apply, and you must study a minimum of 2 years. So in case you're coming with credit transfer, you must study for 2 years. And you can see here the scores that you need prior to either a bachelor or a master to get that scholarship of 15% off. So quite achievable. But if you are one of the real cream of the crop students, we do have at limited places Vice Chancellor International Excellence Scholarship, which is 50% off the whole degree. You do have to do a personal statement, and these are the kind of scores you'd be needing to get. So if you're talking about doing A-levels, if it's local A-levels, you'd need like straight A's. If you're looking at London A-levels, then you do need to have A's with some A stars as well. So these are the kind of score caliber that we're looking for the Vice Chancellor Scholarship. Now, another thing to think about, of course, we were talking a bit about accommodation, we're talking about money with the scholarship. So talking cost of living. And this is just an example slide just to give you an idea and to prove the point that the cost of living in Adelaide is a bit cheaper than the bigger cities, but the part-time job can still earn you just as much money. And that part-time job will be able to easily cover your cost of living. So in this example, you can see that you can earn 2 lakh Sri Lankan rupees per month from a part-time job, and that is during the semester, like I showed you in that timetable. You have time to do about 20 hours a week. In fact, you can now do 24 hours per week, or you will be able to from July onwards, according to the Australian government requirements. So meanwhile, your cost of living you can get by for 1.7 lakhs per month. So basically, yeah, your part-time job covers your cost of living, which is happy days. And then you can just be looking at the actual requirements to then have the money saved up or bank loan to be able to cover your tuition fees. Now, we are a really practical university at UniSA. That's something to remember about us. All these things here, mentoring, projects, site visits, study tours, all this stuff is a big part of all of our programs. So I'm going to highlight that throughout the presentation. But one thing I always tell students, and it's my #1 recommendation, is visit career services, because this is like a one-stop shop, drop in, get your resume looked at, and get some tips on getting jobs. You can do that from the very beginning, even just to get a part-time or casual job. We also have a great online platform called Career Hub, where you can attend different workshops, how to do a good interview, or do online modules to increase your employability, or find different job options that are advertised on there as well. Cool. Then another thing, this is not from UniSA, but from Study Adelaide. So from the South Australian government organisation that oversees the different educational institutions. And it's just a summary of the latest updates on the benefits of choosing Adelaide as a destination for your study. So as you can see here, if you're coming in for a bachelor degree, this is talking about post-study work visa. In the big cities of Australia, you can stay 2 years, but in Adelaide, you can stay 3 years. You get an extra year. If you're coming in for a master's degree, ordinarily big cities, 3 years, but in Adelaide, 4 years. So you get an extra year. There is also a more recent announcement, which is about eligible qualifications. You can see them listed down here, and we are still waiting on exact clarification from the Australian government as to which of our degrees will fit into these. But you can get a general idea. If you're going for something like engineer, ICT, which are both written there, both in this STEM topic we're talking about today, then it's a good chance that you'll be looking at even a longer period of time. So it could even end up being up to 5 years or 6 years that you could actually stay back, which is a great amount of time to be able to actually get your foot into the industry, and also, of course, to really get return on investment from the degree fees that you paid during that or earlier period. So just some really exciting updates there, thanks to some new government policies. All right, that is a bit of a summary of UniSA, Adelaide, and bits and pieces there. Now let's get talking about the topic of the day, which is STEM. So these here are our main programs that we offer in our STEM, UniSA STEM academic unit. So we've got engineering, IT, environment, science and maths, and aviation. So I'm going to cover a few selected ones of these. Let's start with engineering. So we've got bachelor degrees, we've got master degrees. Almost all our bachelors and all our masters are accredited by Engineers Australia, which is under Washington Accord, which means that it aligns with the Sri Lankan engineering body as well. So it means you can do your degree here, you can get recognition as an engineer in Sri Lanka, and it's vice versa as well. I'd like to just highlight one partnership we do have, and it's also working very closely with Edlocate, is that we have a partnership with Cinet Campus. So if you're at an earlier stage and you're thinking maybe you would like to do part of your degree in Sri Lanka and then the rest of your degree in Australia, we do have a tie-up with Cinet so that you can do that, and it can then save you a bit of money. So these are our pathways that we offer, and it's all in engineering from Cinet Campus into UniSA. We've got in mechanical, automotive, electronic and telecommunications, civil and mechatronics into our various programs. So do keep that in mind if you are still in school and you're thinking about your different options, and having a look at the budget as well in terms of what's going to be more affordable. Let's talk about a few other things. So here we go, 2 masters in 2 years. This is one of our really unique offerings that we have at UniSA. So if you are a student from a 4-year engineering honours program or a 4-year program there in Sri Lanka, and it is accredited under Washington Accord, so you can check the Washington Accord signatories website just to check whether your degree was under that, then you are eligible to study 2 masters in 2 years. So rather than studying 2 years just for the 1 master, we can give you a year of advanced standing into our Master of Engineering Management, and then you can go into our Master of Project Management with a year advanced standing. So you're basically getting 2 degrees for the price of 1, and all you have to do is request 2 masters in 2 years on your application. The beauty of this package is that obviously you do get 2 degrees, which is always nice, but you also get 2 areas of skill set. So engineering management is all about maintaining and monitoring and ongoing sort of management of within the engineering sector. Master of Project Management is more about managing projects that have a discrete start and a finish. So it's 2 different approaches and 2 different kind of business skill sets. So by doing the 2 masters in 2 years, you can build both of those things, open up your career opportunities. So yeah, do keep it in mind. The great thing about this 2 masters in 2 years is we do include some of the best highlight courses from both of these programs. So you get to do the minor thesis, I'll talk about that later, and you also get a professional practice project, which helps you link up with industry in the case of both of these highlighted courses there. If we talk about more broadly engineering, so we do offer civil, mechanical, electrical and mechatronic. If we talk about civil, if you forget everything else I said, then just remember civil at UniSA, you get to use some of the largest facilities in Australia. You get to use Australia's largest structural strong floor. So we literally have companies coming to use our spaces because they are the biggest and the best in the country. It's the beauty of being at Mawson Lakes campus. We have heaps of space, so we have massive labs and we do everything at full scale. So you've got the 30-metre long water channel here that actually can pump 500 litres per second, and you can imitate violent rainstorms, the kind of that you probably get in your part of the world. Not quite so much here, but yeah, that's really exciting. You get to mix your own concrete. You can actually make a full-size concrete beam, put pressure on it and watch it break in front of you. So it's real state-of-the-art, but also really large, full-scale facilities. You don't do anything on a mini scale at UniSA in civil. You do it at full industry-size scale. We've also got a hydraulics lab. So this is it here. So that's kind of the one I mentioned with the 30-metre long water channel. You do 4 different practicals in the civil engineering degrees. So you really get to understand all about water and how it factors in. If you're looking at mechatronics, we've got a dedicated mechatronics lab where you get to make robots and get them to autonomously move around, and you get then graded on that. If you're in electrical engineering, we've had a $700,000 renovation to our power systems lab where you get to really replicate the kind of activities that you'd be doing in mining, oil and gas and electrical power industries. And another thing to consider is our Formula SAE Motorsport Club. This is a voluntary thing, but it's an excellent student club that sees you design, build and race a Formula One style vehicle in a 1-year period. So great for project management, meeting people. It's got a lot of Australians as well as internationals in there. So it's a really great club to get involved in. All right, if we talk about the Master in Engineering, we have this final year project called Minor Thesis 1 normally, but it has different names in different degrees. Essentially, all our master degrees in engineering do include a final year project on a real world topic, and it generally is with industry. So these are some of the companies. We've had things like this drill and drop project. This is basically soil moisture testing equipment and looking at calibration of that to improve quality control. There was another one with Schneider Electric, an international company, where the students were looking at the manufacture of the PowerPoint switch plates and how to identify areas of strength and weakness and improve that process. So that's a couple highlights there. Now, this is another of our programs just to draw your attention to. It's cyber engineering. So this is a master degree that we offer in this area, and this is a cutting edge field. You've heard probably of cybersecurity, you've heard of electrical engineering, but this is bringing the two together, the software and the hardware. So if we think about some examples, you've got anything as simple as Google Maps. If it got hacked, then what could happen? You could end up in the wrong place. There's a physical implication. But then you think about more high risk kind of aspects, autonomous vehicles or smart railways. If anyone tampered with that from a cybersecurity perspective, there could actually be fatal consequences. So what cyber engineering is all about is bringing that hardware and software together and engineering the physical things with all of the links and the Internet of Things and the networks that they all have, thinking about how you design all of that to make it cyber secure. So as you can see from these examples, more and more stuff that we use and the smart home systems and smart appliances is all connected about how to protect ourselves. It's not just about being hacked on something that moves or that is actually physical that could actually injure people or have other kind of consequences. So it's the program we have is called Master of Engineering, Cyber Engineering and Telecommunications, and you do need to come from a technical background in telecoms or electronics, but if it is something that interests you, I definitely recommend considering it because this is a priority area of Engineers Australia, and we are the first university in Australia to introduce a dedicated titled degree in cyber engineering. So there's a cyber engineering community of practice in Engineers Australia just looking at this particular area, and they called for us to introduce this program. That's why we did. So great odd job opportunities there. Speaking of which, there are excellent job opportunities. This is showing from Labour Market Insights, which is an Australian government website on some of the different fields. I'll just flip to the next one as well. But there is generally growth happening across all sectors of engineering, and some really good job outcomes as well. But yeah, take a look, Labour Market Insights, Google that if you'd like to do a bit of searching around yourself just to look at those job opportunities. Finally, to finish off engineering, we've got this excellent graduate of ours, Ishani. She graduated from the Civil and Structural degree. She did a capstone experience in the program. She had an honours project that's also part of all the bachelor degrees, often with industry. And she's now a graduate structural engineer at WGA, which is one of the largest civil engineering firms in Adelaide. You probably never heard of it, but I'm sure you've heard of the Adelaide Oval, and they were actually the civil engineers to do the Adelaide Oval renovation, which happened about 10 years ago now. So an amazing company for her to now have on her resume. All right, that's engineering. Let's talk about IT. So IT, we've got bachelor degrees, we've got master degrees, and most of them, as you can see, are accredited by ACS, the Australian Computer Society. The exciting thing in our bachelors is that within 5 weeks, you'll be doing things that replicate what you do in industry. So understanding users. When you're working in IT, there's always a client or a user or a colleague, or there's always an end person who needs the help or needs the product or needs the new app or the software. So what we do is we integrate this studio structure. So you do 3 subjects and then everything stops, all courses go on hold, and you do a studio, which is where you go into this room here and you work on these tables with all the technology to link you up to be able to share in groups and solve a real life style of problem. So you really are putting all of your skills into practice from the very first 5 weeks of our bachelor degrees in IT. Then at the end of all of our IT degrees, bachelor and master, you do a project, generally with industry, and it goes for 1 semester. We organise it, and the outcome is a report and actual recommendations to the company. So the company will have some sort of an IT problem and they would like you to come up with actual solutions. So it's really helpful for them. This is one of the examples here. The students were involved with Fox Entertainment as the client, and they came up with an app that showed a national car race and you could follow your favourite around the track, but it was augmented reality. So you can move around with your phone to actually watch that favourite driver. A few other highlights in IT. If we talk about the spaces, obviously you're coming all the way to Australia, so you want to know which spaces you get to use. We have a Cisco networking lab fully endorsed by Cisco, which is one of the world's largest networking software platforms. If you do our if you do our bachelor networking and cybersecurity specialisation, you'll actually get 30,000 Australian dollars worth of Cisco training within that. So that's a real benefit there. If you're into games, we've got a games degree at and we've got a games lab where we've got all sorts of like Oculus, Vives, HTC, all of these different, well-known Alienware, like all of the stuff, all the special seating and whatever else. So you've got really exciting stuff, AR, VR. And we've got this awesome new toy here, which is an augmented reality sandbox. This is where students might be working with environmental science students looking at projection onto sand. As you move the sand, the projection changes. You can mimic floods, you can mimic fires, and it's all the software engineering and the software development that goes into that application in the environmental sector. So there's some pretty fun labs and different facilities that we have on the campus. Finally, on master in the IT space, so we've got a master of IT. We have 2 specializations, one in enterprise management and the other in cybersecurity. So this is our flagship master of IT degree, and the beauty is that it is a common first semester. So you choose one of the 2 programs. After 1 semester, you can switch or you can stay. So then you do your courses in the program, and then at the end, you'll do your final year project. So that's this one here. Like I said, for bachelor, same for master, you get to work with industry. And we do some mentoring as well, where we have a separate industry person do one-on group kind of sessions with you to help you to understand more about what the industry is all about. So that's the Master of IT. We've got the Master of Data Science. This is a constantly evolving field. Data can be found everywhere, and it can be in the public sector, it can be or it can be a private sector, a real money-making thing, or a business development thing too. There are a lot of industries seeking data science. So banking industry is not only looking for finance grads, they're looking for data science grads, because data science thinks about maths, stats, IT, and business. So they're really thinking about all of these areas. They're going to be a real master of all these fields. Engineering, healthcare, these are just some of the highlight industries, but really data can be found everywhere. You could be in any industry at all. We've got a fantastic program really closely designed with SAS, which is one of the world's largest platform softwares for data science software. But we also work with the open source platforms, languages like R and Python, and we work with AWS, Amazon Web Services. So it's a degree that can span you from working in huge companies or working in small companies, just venturing into the data science area. You'll get to do a subject called data science professional development, where we have a real industry client. So this picture here is showing one of our Australian football teams, and that was one of the clients. And the data was the data from the players doing their training regimes, and the students looked at injury rates based on training regimes. So much in sport. There is a lot in sport with data these days, and this is one of the clients that we got to work with. Again, finally, you do have the project in the data science degree as well. This is an example here, Energy Miser project. This was looking at the arrival and departure times of a UK rail operator and optimizing the timetable based on where there are normally delays. So a really cool practical project. This is a student success story, Aradhana, who did Master of Data Science and now works at ActiveOps, which is one of the many different data science startups that are around the place. So IT careers are insanely good. This is an area where there are so many jobs, not enough graduates. So if you're thinking which field, look at this. You've got like 38.9% predicted growth increase for this database and systems admin and ICT security. So there's some, like, that's, just unheard of kind of rates of growth in that area. A nice other exciting thing is that you might be thinking Adelaide's not the biggest city in Australia, but don't let that make you think there aren't jobs. We have these companies, some of the biggest tech companies in the world, who are now establishing a base in Adelaide, and that is thanks to this development here, a state government initiative called Lot 14, which is basically a tech hub right in the centre of the city. And so this is a really exciting collaboration between public and private industry, and really gives you some good idea of job opportunities coming up. All right, still working through this. We've got another topic now to talk about. This is one of my favourite areas, bit more of a niche one, but this is aviation. So at UniSA, we have 2 degrees in aviation, one in flight to become a pilot, and one to work in airline and airport management. The aviation industry has had some really tough times, obviously, during the pandemic, but it is absolutely back. And you probably may know, even just from the amount of air traffic coming in and out of Sri Lanka, of Maldives, and tourism being back and people wanting to get out and about. And there is now going to be a shortage of pilots. There was before, it dipped a bit and it's coming back up again. So there is growth predicted across the sector. Asian markets account for 40% of the long-term global demand, as it says here. So there's some really exciting times coming up. It is a good time to study aviation. We work with FTA, Flight Training Adelaide, probably one of the most reputable flight schools in Australia. They actually are the contracted provider for Qantas, Cathay Pacific, some of the Taiwan-based airlines, Indigo as well. So they are very, very good to work with, and you get to do that flying with them. I'll tell you a bit about how our flying program works. The Bachelor of Aviation Flight. First of all, it is a bit of a can of worms topic. It can get a lot of different things in little intricacies, but I think if we just explain it like this, there are different milestones and different careers that you can take as a pilot, and there are many different ways to become a pilot. It's not just one way. So these are some of the lists of those different milestones. And in our university, we simplify it into a degree and then 4 flying pathway options, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you can see which of these options offer which of the aviation milestones. So pathway 1 is the fully fledged option, giving you everything and making you ready to enter an airline directly. Pathway 4 is the simplest option, and that's just a bachelor degree with a bit of flying. So it is a big program. I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but if you're interested in aviation, jump onto our website, type in UniSA Aviation, and you should be able to find the Bachelor of Aviation Flight homepage, and then you can find the brochure that goes through all of this, so you can have a read yourself to really understand it. But I think one of the most interesting things is just looking at best ways to become a pilot, or different ways to become a pilot. You don't necessarily need to have a bachelor degree to become a pilot, but in some cases it can help. And in the case of Sri Lankan Airlines, I've had some recent intel looking at their cadetship program, which has actually opened up again recently after not being open for some time. So they took 2 intakes into their cadetship program last year. And their current entry requirements are that you should have a degree. The website itself says may make the requirement, but I've had some intel myself through a contact that they are currently requiring a degree. So it's a really good thing to actually think about dedicating yourself to actually studying a full degree in aviation if you're wanting to lead through to those roles. Pathway 1 is the pathway that makes you ready to enter an airline directly. So this is where you get a degree, a graduate diploma, a commercial pilot license, an instrument rating, and a multi-engine rating, so you can fly a plane with more than just the one engine. These other pathways, pathway 2, 3, and 4, these provide different things, but the beauty is that they all include a thing called flight experience, where we give you a taste of flying, just 15 to 20 hours, and it does count towards your CPO. It's actually integrated into the cost. So you get to have a taste of flying and then decide, do I want to do a whole license, or do I just want to apply for a cadetship? We've got different student stories in aviation with lots of success. So Kenneth he did something like pathway 1, did all the different things. Now he is flying 777 in Singapore Airlines. We've got Angeline, who did pathway 2, still was completing, and then we've got Rishab, who has done something like pathway 3, but actually then moved on to pathway 2 because he also did a CPO, and he got accepted into the Qantas Future Pilot program. And then we have these students who went for more like the cadetship. These are Hong Kong students, so they went for Cathay Pacific cadetships. In your case, if you're a Sri Lankan student, you can go for Sri Lankan Airlines cadetship, but we do have success stories. So different ways to become a pilot. We've got great facilities on campus, including both a Boeing 737 and an Airbus A320 simulator on the campus. You can see it here. So it's a really exciting toy that we have at UniSA. The FTA, where we do all of the flight training, is right next door to our campus. That's pretty unique in Australia. So it can just be probably like a 5-minute drive, or just a walk and then 10-minute train, probably 5 minutes actually, to get across there to do your flying as well as your theory. We do have the management program as well. It's got airline management, airport management, and a lot of customized aviation courses. So you can see here the mix. You've got business courses, aviation general, and you've got the specific red color aviation management courses as well. So you really get to learn like things like airline operations management, how to do the fleet selection and scheduling, or aircraft maintenance schedule. You will understand airport management. How does the design of the terminal help, or like the regulatory requirements, and how do the security systems all work? So it's a really comprehensive degree. And we've got a student who now is working for Singapore Airlines, previously for Qatar Airways, based in Adelaide, doing all the cargo management. So quite interesting sort of stuff that you can do, keep your feet on the ground, but still be working in that industry. All right, in the interest of time, I'll just keep moving on. So we've got construction management. This is a program I think you really, really ought to consider and really understand. It is not about being dirty on the construction site. This is not construction worker. This is the construction manager. The reason I want you to think about it is because this industry has incredible job potential. So it is now the 5th strongest industry for growth in Australia, and in South Australia it is the 4th largest employing sector. So it is big in terms of this industry. The Construction Industry Training Board has dedicated $23 million to training people in areas of construction management, and our program director has basically been in connection with industry. To be honest, basically she's having to tell the industry to wait in line because all of the 4th year students already have jobs, and she's having to tell industry, all right, you can consider these 3rd year students. So it is just incredible. It is booming. It's getting bigger and bigger. So it's something to think about. There's some really exciting projects. These are actual concepts. Some of them are already underway, with some major projects happening in Adelaide here. So some really exciting times here too. Basically, our Bachelor of Construction Management, it's a 4-year degree, 37,100 per year Aussie dollars. And in final year, you choose 2 of the below 3 specialisations, quantity surveying, building surveying, or construction management, and then you graduate with the respective accreditations. So you basically will end up having generally three accreditations, whichever one that you end up choosing. We've got such strong connection to industry. We've got 25 or more industry partners, and we have an incredible builders organisation for staff and students. So they have things like a get to know you barbecue, they have an end of year dinner, industry fairs, they do site visits. This is their end of year dinner where there were 100 people all in the one room, all networking, mingling, and chance to get jobs. This is why the students are getting jobs so easily as well. Even in your orientation in construction management, it's so practical. We actually take you to a house, then to an apartment, then to an office fit out, then to a hospital refurbishment. So even on that orientation, we had some students being offered part-time work so straight after the orientation. We work with the different new latest technique systems like building information modelling and stuff like virtual reality, so you can put on goggles and pretend that you're actually on a site. But yeah, construction management is not just about being on site, it's about the actual business side of running big construction processes. So it's a very professional field, and these are some of the different career outcomes you can look forward to. So there's plenty of different kind of avenues that you can take it down. All right, probably the final program I'm going to talk about today is our project management program. Now, this is another favourite of mine. This is talking in the master. So our project management does sit in the STEM area, but the way we teach project management is that it applies to any industry at all. So it's anything with a start and a finish. I think I mentioned that earlier. So if you're talking about, as you can see here, a mining project or the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra concert series and scheduling people who are available and unavailable across the series for the year, looking at civil engineering projects, running an event like the Olympic Games, all of these things are projects, and there is a really I guess there's always a better way to do these and to manage them, and this is what we teach you in project management. So our project management was the first in Australia. It is majority Australian students. This is one of the biggest benefits, I think, because you come to Australia because you want to meet the locals and get the job opportunities, and networking we know is so important for that. So this is one of the few master degrees in Australia that does have majority Australian students, because Australians don't always take master degrees. Often we just have a bachelor and that's it. But this is a popular master for Aussies to take. So come and join them. In year 1, you do a site visit. In year 2, there's an optional mentoring program. So chances to get out on site and to see what's going on. There's amazing job opportunities in project management, as you can see here. And we have great endorsements from the different fields and the different organisations in project management too. Again, really strong industry links with our different staff. So these are some of the companies that the people who teach you are coming from. Finally on that, the program content does include some core courses and advanced courses, but you also get to choose one stream or a concentration. So if you're interested to go into the construction sector, you could go for the construction, contracting and engineering. Or if you're looking at health industry, you can go into health and allied context. So this is where you get to choose 3 subjects in a particular area of interest. But that is project management, and that is it from me. Thank you so much. I think we probably have a couple seconds for questions, perhaps, Delaney.
Okay, Jackson, a question from me. Now, when it comes to mathematics, what are the study options available? Does it relate to IT and engineering, or do you all have specific areas related to mathematics? Just a brief introduction.
Sure, yeah. So we have got, in fact, I might even just flip back to it to make it easier. So in maths, we have a Bachelor of Mathematics, and there are 2 specializations. I've mentioned one of them here, Bachelor of Mathematics, Data Science. We also have another one called Industrial and Applied Mathematics. So those are the 2 degrees. Main difference, if you look at those 2, is that both of them are 3-year degrees. So same duration, same cost. But when you look at data science, you're talking about analyzing past data to make future decisions. When you look at industrial and applied mathematics, you don't have any data to work with. You have to use algorithms and formulas to predict what might happen in the future. So good example is like a train timetable. If you had the data from all of the arrival and departure times, that's more the data science side. But if you were setting up a brand new train line, you don't have data from what the train did. So you have to use mathematical calculations to predict what will the good timetable be. So yeah, that would be our main 2 mathematics degrees if you want to study a sort of pure maths area. But of course, things like engineering has a lot of maths in there too. So if you want something with a direct career outcome, I'd say probably better to actually go for an engineering degree, where you know that you can get accreditation as an engineer at the end.
And when it comes to internships, does the university arrange it for students, or they have to find it on their own?
It's a bit of a combination. So when it comes to the internships, so depends on which program that you're in. One of the things is that under certain accreditation systems like Engineers Australia for engineering, Engineers Australia wants students to develop employability skills, which also means developing application for job skills too. So we may not necessarily guarantee that we will organise and spoon feed you, because that's part of the Australian style, but we will guide you to how to apply for an internship, and we will give you ideas of advertised internships. And if you really are struggling to find one, we will find one for you. It's fine, because we need to graduate you with the internships on these different programs, depending on which one it is. But in many cases, we actually, rather than just organising it for you and spoon feeding you, we will guide you through the process of how to approach and to find an internship. And also we're flexible, because if you did have an opportunity back in, say, Sri Lanka or in the Maldives during your holidays to go and do some work, then we might be able to credit you some of those hours towards your internship component, which is not necessarily what you want from an Australian experience, because you'd like to work locally, but it's just to show that you can use some of those other experiences to contribute to the industry required hours.
There's a question, Jackson. If I do the mathematics data science degree, am I qualified to study the master's program in data science thereafter?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and the answer is yes, you can. So, after doing that one, you can definitely still then go. Then you could go on to the Master of Data Science. We require either a Bachelor in IT or a Bachelor in Mathematics for that one.
Okay, then if there's no more questions, then we'll finish off the session. Thank you so much, Jackson, for joining, and thank you everyone for joining today's session. You all can contact Educate on 7717700361 for further details. And if you're from Maldives, you can contact us on 76205563. Applications for July 2023 intake for UniSA is still open. So contact us and get further details. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice day.
Thanks, Delaney. Thanks, Educate.